Hey guys, it's Korosum here, and in this video I'm going to show you how to upload files to AWS S3 Bucket using a Node.js Backend. It's really easy to implement file upload functionality with AWS S3. You just need to install AWS SDK that comes with all the necessary functions for almost all the AWS services. Sounds good? So let's get started. Alright, so this is our project. We have a simple Node.js REST API written with TypeScript, and let me walk you through the project. It's a simple project. It doesn't have any API endpoints yet, and we have our config folder which injects all the environment variables to our project using our env file. And as you can see, we have at the moment app name and the running port and also the database URL. And then we have our route folder. We have two routes, and it doesn't have any controllers connected yet. Just two routes to make sure the application is working correctly. And then we have our application file. Here we have created an express application, and we have integrated our routes, and then we have this function that connects to that makes the database connection. And then we are exporting our application, and then we have our server file. So as you can see, we are listening to the port written in our env file. So the app name is I have added as a blog API, and the API port is 3000, and this is my database. It's a local database. Alright, so as you can see, we have dockerized our application. We have Docker Compose and Dockerfile. And if you're not familiar with Docker, just ignore these. We don't need these Docker files to this tutorial. And in our package.json file, as you can see, we have installed few dependencies: .env, express, joy, it's a validation package, request validation, and then mongoose. Since we are using MongoDB, we are using mongoose ORM. And as the development dependencies, we have installed express TypeScript definitions and ts-node-dev and TypeScript to compile our application into JavaScript. Alright, so that's pretty much it for the project. Let's get started. First of all, let's head over to our AWS account and create a new S3 bucket. To do that, go to services, and as you can see, there is a search bar. You can type S3, then it will show you some search results. In this S3 item, go inside that, and here you can create a new bucket to store your files. And as you can see, we have already created a bucket. Let me create a new one. And as you can see, we have some configurations. For the bucket name, let's name our buckets with some unique string. I'm gonna type code awesome test, something like this, and I'm going to keep the other values as default. Looks good, and hit create. Alright, so our bucket is created. Alright, so next we need to set up our AWS credentials to access this bucket with our code. To do that, we need to create access keys for our bucket. I'm going to head over to this section called security credentials. As you can see, you are taken to this identity access management section, also known as IAM. Here you can create access keys. As you can see, we have already created a key pair, but I'm going to create a new one here. As you can see, we have a button called create access keys. I'm going to create an access key. Alright, so you need to copy this access key and secret access key and keep it somewhere. We will add that to our env file when we are writing our code. Alright, so I copy these two values and I'm going to close this. Alright, so now I think we have two access keys. Alright. Yeah, let's go back to our S3 bucket. So, and this is our bucket that we are going to use in this tutorial, and I'm going to copy this bucket name and this region. These two values will also be needed to include in our code to access our bucket. Alright, so I'm going to close this. I'm going to keep it in another window. Okay. Alright, so now we have created our bucket and we have set up our AWS credentials and access keys. Now we can start developing our application. First of all, let's install some dependencies. I'm going to open up my terminal. By the way, I'm using WebStorm as my IDE. Alright, so let's type npm install. As the first dependency, I'm going to type express-fileupload. I'll be using this package to upload my files locally. Alright, so as the second dependency, I'm going to install the TypeScript definitions for this package. At type express-fileupload. Since we are developing our application with TypeScript, we need to install TypeScript definitions for some packages. Alright, so as the third package, I'm going to install AWS SDK. Alright, so hit enter and these three packages will be installed. Alright, so the packages are installed. As you can see in our package.json file, we have TypeScript definition for our express-fileupload and also AWS SDK has been installed. Alright, let's close this. Alright, so next let's open up our env file and let's add those credentials that we created in our AWS account. Alright, so let's type AWS S3 Bucket. The bucket name we had was, let me check, corrosum test, and then we need to add AWS region. The region was US West -2. Next, I'm going to add AWS _ access _ key ID. Here I'm going to put the first value in our key pair, which is let me check. Right, this is the first value of our access key pair, and as the second, I'm going to add the AWS secret access key. And for this, I'm going to paste the second value of our key pair. Alright, so hit save and let's close this. Alright, so next let's update our configuration file here. Let's create a new field called AWS like this, and as the first value let's add the bucket. Let's get that value from our env file. Just like this. I'm going to duplicate this couple more times, and AWS region, AccessKeyID, alright, region, and secret key. Alright, so it's always a best practice to use a separate configuration file for your project so that we can access our env files anywhere using this config object. Alright, so let's close these two files, and next let's create our controller. Currently we don't have any controllers in our project, so in the source folder I'm going to create a new directory called controllers, and inside that let's create a new file called let's say image controller.ts. So here let's create our first function. This function should be connected to a route, and when we are uploading our files we call this function directly from our route. So this should be a request handler. I'm going to type const, I'm going to type export const function name, let's say this is profile picture upload functionality. So let's name this function with something like upload profile pic, and this is a request handler. And also this should be an async function. Alright, and as the parameters request, and for this I'm going to add any, because we are dealing with files, and response. Alright, so this is our function. And here let's add a try catch block, and inside the catch let's return an error response, res.status. Let's add 500, and as the JSON let's add the message and put something like something went wrong. And also we will add a console log with the error written by this catch block, so we will know what went wrong actually. So inside this try block we need to write a logic to upload file. First let's check if the file is present. Let's say request files, and the field name we'll be using something like profile pic. So this should be the field that we send the file with our out, and this file should have a name. So if this is true, I mean if there is a name for this file, I mean the file is present, we should upload the file. Well, we can write everything, the upload functionality here in this controller method, but instead what I'm going to do is I'm going to use a separate function in a separate file that contains all the logic for file upload to S3, because that way that function is reusable. So that function can be used anywhere in the code whenever we want to upload a file to our S3 bucket. So it's reusable. Alright, so we will keep this like this, and I'm going to create a new folder here. Let's say utils. Inside our utils directory, I'm going to create a new file called functions.ts. So this functions file can be used to write all the utility functions like upload files, format numbers, format prices, anything. Alright, so let's write our upload function here. So here's the plan. We'll be sending the file and also the bucket name as parameters. I'm sending the bucket name as well because there can be multiple buckets for a single application. So it will be convenient for us to send the bucket name as well. Yeah, and we will generate a file name with some unique string, maybe timestamp or something. And once the upload is success, we will return the file name. So our controller function can continue with saving that file name in the database and continue with its execution. Alright, so I'm going to type export const. Function name should be something like upload to S3, and this should be an async function. As the parameters, we'll be sending file. It should be with type any, and also, as I said, the bucket name. And it should be a string. Alright. And let's add a try catch block here as well. If it comes to the catch block, let's return our error. Alright, so now let's import our AWS SDK to this functions file. Import AWS from AWS SDK. Alright, and also let's import our configuration object as well, so we can easily access our AWS credentials. Import config. Yeah, so it should be inside this config folder and this index file. Alright, now I'm going to create a new constant, const. I'm going to name that S3, and so I'm going to create a new object from our AWS dot S3 service. Here I'm going to pass credentials. Here we have AccessKeyId, and for this I'm gonna insert our access key ID from our configuration file. This one, config .aws access key, and next should be secret access key and config .aws SecretKey. Oops, I think we have a error. Oh, right, it's a type error since our configuration object we have assigned to this env file value. Here what I'm going to do, I'm going to type just like this, because sometimes this env file value can be undefined. In that case, we have to return something as default. Just like this. We can add some value here as the fallback value in case our env file doesn't load in the application. Alright, hit save, and I think yeah, it's gone. Alright, so we created our S3 object. Now let's create another constant called params. This should contain the parameters we want to insert. The first one is bucket, and the bucket name should come from our parameters, and next the key. This is the file name that we want to rename our file with, the uploaded file. Alright, so for that let's create a new constant here, because we need to get the file extension from the original file. New file name. So here I'm going to use this $sign with curly braces. Date dot now, and that way I'm going to get the timestamp, and I'm going to convert it to a string with this toString function, so we get the unique part of our file. Why don't we add some text as well? So pick, and this is the unique part of the file name, and then the file extension. To get the file extension, I'm going to use this mime type property. I'm going to use $sign curly braces and then file dot mime type, and this will return an string, and we're gonna have to use this split function to split it up and get the second half of that text, just like this. Alright, so we are splitting up that string, and with this slash mark. So after splitting up, we're gonna use the second half of that text. Alright, so this way we can use we can get the file extension. Alright, so the new file name should be pick underscore, then the timestamp, and the dot and file extension. Alright, let's use this value for the key. Nice. And then we're gonna have to pass body. Which means this file data. Alright, so by the way, you can find this piece of code on AWS documentation. I will link it in the description down below. Alright, so now we can use our upload function comes with this S3 object, just like this. And as the first argument, we have to pass our params object we just created here, this one. And as the second argument, we have to pass some options. So in this case, we have to pass empty object for that. And as the third argument, we have to pass a callback function. In this callback function, we have two parameters. The first one is error and the second one is data. So if there is an error, we have to return this error just like this, or else, which means no error, we have to pass our data object just like this. Anyway, so this is what they have in the documentation, but what I'm going to do is, since we are using this async await syntax, I'm gonna wrap this with the promise. I'm gonna return a new promise. This promise has a callback function, and inside that we can call our upload function. So here, as the callback function for the promise, we have to pass resolve and reject just like this. So in case of error, we can reject just like this, and if there is no error, we can resolve with data. By the way, let's add a console log here as well, so that we know what went wrong. Nice. So here we are returning a promise so that we can use async await syntax in our controller function when we are calling this particular upload function. By the way, if you are not familiar with these callback functions, promises and async await, don't worry, I have a separate tutorial for that, and it covers everything. You just need to take a look. I will link it in the description down below. Alright, so let's go back to our controller function. Now let's call our upload function. I'm going to create a new constant. I'm going to name that result, and I'm going to use this await keyword, and the function name is upload to S3. Pay attention to this auto import functionality done by the IDE. When I am typing the function name, it automatically imports it for me on the top of the file, and using ES6 syntax. So if your IDE doesn't do that, you have to make sure you manually import it on the file. Alright, so as the first argument, we have to pass the file. Profile request files profile pic, and as the second argument, we have to pass the bucket name. Bucket name can be accessed using this config object. Config, and make sure you import that as well. You have to choose the correct path. In this case, we have to use this third option. .aws bucket. Alright, so I think we have only two parameters. Yes, file and the bucket name. Alright, so next let's return this result res.status 200 or 201, and let's pass a JSON body as well. Message success, and the body should be data. Yeah, something like this. So oops, it should be this result, because we the data is written and we are assigning that to our result variable. Yeah, my bad. Just like this. So here we are returning a promise. If the promise fails, it use this reject function, and it will be called by this catch block, and it will return this error response, something went wrong. On the other hand, if it resolves, then it will be taken to this result constant, and it will be returned by this success return. By the way, I think I have a typo here. It should be profile pic. I have missed this O. Alright. Okay. Now to access this controller function, upload profile pic controller function, I need to create a route. So let's open up our routes file. In this routes directory, we have this index file for the route, and here let's create a route, routes dot, and this should be a post endpoint, and the first argument is the path. Let's say upload profile pic, and the second argument is the function upload profile pic. Alright, the route is complete. Now we need to enable express to a file upload. To do that, we have to use this package we installed earlier, this express-fileupload. Okay, in your app file, let's import that as well. Import file upload. Yeah, import file upload from express file upload. Alright, and here we have to use this file upload like this, app.use file upload, just like this. By the way, let's add these JSON as well. Express.json, just like this, and also to handle form data, app.use express dot URL encoded, just like this. Hit save. I think now we are good to go. This way we can handle all type of request response cycle. Alright, so everything looks good. Let's open up our terminal and let's run our application. npm run dev. Yeah, she's starting up. Let's open up Postman and create a request and send that to this endpoint. Here the URL should be API/v1/upload profile pic, and it should have a form data body, and the field we are using here is I think I have an error because MongoDB is not running. Let me quickly open up Docker and run that MongoDB container. Yeah, MongoDB is running. Let's restart our application. Yeah, we have now this console log connected to DB. Earlier we didn't have that. Alright, in our Postman, let me check the field name here. Should be profile pic. Copy this and this should be a file. Let's open a file and yeah, this one looks good. Okay, let's hit this endpoint and let's see what happens. Let's keep our terminal open. Send in the request. Yeah, I think we have a success response. Yes, we have a key, which means that AWS has returned a success response for this file. Let's open up the terminal as well. Yes, we have that console log. Okay, looks good. Open up AWS Bucket and let's refresh. Bingo, we have a file. Let's download it and open it. Yes, let's upload another one. Yeah, this one. Send. Yes, we have the second file. Let's upload a PDF of something. Oops, I think I don't have any PDF at the moment. Let me check. Yes, let me quickly download the sample PDF. Alright, so I download the PDF in the documents. Yeah, dummy PDF. Let's upload that as well. Yes, yes, by the way, it has this peak prefix. It doesn't make any sense because this is a PDF. By the way, it's okay. Yeah, this is the public URL for this object. So I think we have successfully implemented file upload to S3 with our Node.js backend. Alright, so in the next video, we're going to learn how to generate a pre-signed URL to access this uploaded file. So I hope you enjoyed the video. Hit the subscribe button if you haven't already, and I'll see you guys very soon in the next video.